Hello guys, this is Avcoor, and I want to talk about stats and what do they mean for your character. Stats are important, we don't talk about them enough, but in this game, stats determine how well your character functions in the role that you are assigning them. Like, say for instance, let's look at Charlotte. Everybody talks about Charlotte. She's an awesome unit, she acts again, but the mechanics underneath Charlotte make her good. So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about her stats and how they're allocated. Your stats determine how well your character functions in their basic assignment. Charlotte is an attacker, right? So she attacks, she hits stuff. Well, her stats actually reflect that she's a duelist. Every great warrior has to be a great duelist. Warrior and duelist are synonymous in this game. Duelist means you actively can engage an opponent one square, and you can actually over time successfully kill that target. And the stats you need to do that is HP. HP is how much HP you have, how much damage you can take before you get out of there. So she has an A HP stat. That means it's one step away from being super high, which S is like super high stats in that one area. So HP is the most important stat you can build in this game next to your offensive stat. When I talk about classes later on, I'm going to talk about HP as being one of the stats that you got to pump resources into. Like, when you get your runes, if you already have a rune that increases your attack, then my advice is that you get a two slot rune that increases your HP. That automatically raises your power because HP is so important in this game. It is the most important defensive stat that you have. If you have low HP and high defense, you will die really fast. But if you have high HP and moderate defense, you actually can survive. The second thing about HP is it works in tandem with defense and magic defense. So say for instance, you will have a character like Seghart, we'll talk about later, who actually has an SHP stat. His defense, magic defense, is low, but his HP is so high that he can actually take damage from magic attacks better than a person who has high magic defense and very low HP. So when you look at this stat, look at it defensively and offensively as well, because if you have low HP and you're a duelist, you cannot apply the same offensive pressure as a unit with high HP and high attack. Like, for instance, if you have a unit like, let me go to her real quick. Simi. Let me check Simi stats. Wow, they gave Simi A HP. Oh, that's not fair. Well, let's go to another example. Wow, Simi's really good. She's better than I thought. I rank her extremely high, but stat wise, I should rank her even higher. Let's go to. Oh, so they gave her a HP too. Let me see. Who's got like? Let me see here. Oh, they get BHP. Okay. Like her, for instance, she has great crit and great attack, but she's not going to be able to duel as well because she has BHP. She has B rank HP. Let's look at another character. Where's she at? So she has BHP. That means she's not going to be able to duel as well as other units, thus being a ranger. So let's go to a weaker ranger. Do we even have one? I don't even. I don't have a ranger. Let's go to him. All right. Notice that he has S level magic defense, but he has C level HP. He can't take magic hits that well, even with such a high stat. He just doesn't have the HP pool to make the most out of it. So when you look at HP, you have to look at it that way. That it is the most important stat in the game, and it's a stat that you, as a player, must invest into, regardless of how you feel about it. Attack is how much physical damage you can do. And I think this is one of the best aspects of games that actually split magic attack and magic and physical attack. It allows more versatility in how you construct your characters. That sometimes you have a character that can hit a unit that another character cannot. It started in Pokemon and it kind of like steamrolled after that. That's how I saw it. That's how I see it. People might see it differently. People play different games, but I was a big Pokemon player when I was in high school, so I take that with me. But attack is for units that deal physical attack. It is second behind HP, as in for physical attackers, it would be second behind HP. Magic attack would be second after HP for magical DPS units. The thing about physical attack is it it attacks the HP and the defense stat of the opponent that you're facing. So you'll notice that the attack stat is actually higher than the defense stat, and it has to be. Mathematically, if the defense stat was the same as the attacking stat, there you never deal damage. We just be hitting each other and not going anywhere. It'd be a long fight, and most fights only last 15 turns. So the attack stat has to be high. In fact, when you're developing DPSs, you want to pump as much resources into their weapon. Sometimes you'll let the helmet go because it only gives you HP and magic defense. But when you look at certain weapons, they give you attack and HP. So when you develop your DPSs, you want to develop their weapon first because the tank will be doing most of the tanking. With the tank, you want to develop their armor, their helm, and their accessory. We'll go into weapons later on, but that is something that you have to consider. That if you're going to invest in a DPS, their attack has to be really high. This is what makes Charlotte such a functional DPS. She already starts with a high attack pool that you can add to. So with other DPSs who don't have S rank attack, which is what it says is S rank, it's superior attacking stat total, higher than it's very higher than average, higher than above average, pinnacle even. These are the things that make Charlotte good. Her attacking twice is the icing on the cake. But if you're attacking twice and you had like D attack, it wouldn't be that great, would it? No, it wouldn't. If you attack twice with C attack, it wouldn't be that great either. But if you're attacking twice with S rank attack, that's amazing. That's why she's the top DPS in the game. Because physical DPS in the game and top character in the game because she's able to attack twice with S rank attack. We'll come back to her in a second. So now we're looking at magic attack. Magic attack is how much magic damage you can deal. And like with her, what's her name anyway? Catherine. Yeah, Catherine is a exceptional character. Her color actually is one of the reasons why she's exceptional. But more importantly is the fact that she has such high magic attack. Look at her magic attack pool. It's 1,467. But you'll notice that Charlotte attack is actually 1,726. But I will tell you that these attack stats on some level are equal. Why would I say that? Why would I say her 1,467 damage attack potential, magic attack potential is just as equal to Charlotte's 1,700 something attack? This is the answer. Most people don't have high magic defense. Um, you look at a lot of these characters. I'll show you their stats, like all six of these characters, and you'll notice that their magic defense is not their highest stat. Um, I'll show you real quick. I'll even prove it to you. All right, we'll look at her. C, 553. She has B, 713. And she's a long range character. This dude has B, 703. But his stat is actually more potent because it's HP pool. She's like the pinnacle tank. So she would actually have actually solid defensive stats. Excuse me. 689. So that's why I would tell you that that stat is just as equal as Charlotte's 1,700 and something attack. This is the thing about magic attack. Keep this in mind when you play this game, that for some reason the stats are not equal allocation. Most people deal physical damage, so they accommodate for that. There are 4 classes in this game that deal only physical damage. The shooter, the archer, shooter, warrior, tank, and ranger all deal physical damage. And as such, they prioritize physical defense over magic defense. So when you look at people with high magic attack, it will seem low, but it's actually really high. So her 1,467 magic attack is really high because she will be facing enemies who do not possess that level of magic defense to actually challenge that stat that she's using. Magic attack is really important because there's a lot of monsters in the game that actually have low magic defense for some reason or whatever, and wizards, priests can take advantage of that. And understand that only 2 classes can take advantage of this stat. There's ways that other units can use the stat, but for the most part, only 2 classes can actually utilize the magic attack stat, and that is wizards and priests. But all in all, if you build a wizard or priest, their magic attack must be extremely high in order for them to heal or deal damage. So keep that in mind with the priest when you are building them. They must have high magic attack because they actually convert their magic attack into healing. That the healing is based on their magic attack. So this is a very important stat, but it's only important for 2 characters specifically. So let's go to magic defense. Let's go to defense, I mean. Sorry. We'll actually look at Charlotte again, and then we're going to look at our tank, Gabriel. This is another reason why Charlotte is such a fantastic character. Outside of the fact that she can actually hit twice. I mean, her hitting twice is what makes her SS tier, but her stats solidify her place as one of the best units in the game. Because she's running around with S level attack and S level defense. Defense is how much physical attack you can resist. And this stat is very important for duelists. It's very important for archers. It's very important for rangers. Not so important for tanks. Because tanks get hit so much that the counterattack they deal over time compensates for their lack of offensive potential as a whole. But for DPSs, for rangers, warriors, and shooters, they need defense. Warriors need defense because they're gonna have to take a hit. Warriors need defense all the time. Shooters need defense because things get sticky. It's not a stat that with shooters you can fully invest in, but you want to get as much as you can because shooters get hit if you misplace them and you improperly place them on the map. If you misplace them, they get hit, and they take hits without counterattacking, and that hurts. That really hurts. So when you're looking at defense, you always want to look at your defense in relation to your HP stat, as these two stats work in conjunction with one another. You resist damage and you take some damage and you lose HP. And with defense, defense actually can be multiplied, or it can scale, or you can lose defense. You can get debuffed and lose defense. You can increase your defense. And you always have to look at your stats in this game, especially with your defensive stats, because you'll attack a unit and you'll hear that zonk that basically says if you kill him, if you attack this unit, you're gonna die, and you don't know why. You have to look at your HP and defense stats to figure out why. And I would rate this stat as like super important for like certain classes, especially warriors and tanks, warriors and tank classes, and to a lesser extent rangers. Priests need this stat as well as wizards. Everybody can benefit from this stat, but certain characters demand to have a high amount of this said stat. So let's look at Gabriel, and we'll look at Gabriel first. Notice that her defense stat seems low, even though it's S. This stat actually, she has actually mechanics in her kit that actually increase her overall defense, so don't worry about that. But she has a really nice defensive stat. But unlike Charlotte, she actually can increase her stat, where Charlotte has ways to increase her attack. And for a tank, you want them to have the ability to increase the stat, as it becomes so important in late game to have the stat at a high level. So keep that in mind. Sighart, my favorite character. He's my favorite character in the game. Notice that his defense stat is actually higher than Gabriel's, but he does not have mechanics in his kit that allow him to increase his defense at the same level as Gabriel. He has like some stat defense increasing passes, but not that high. They're not that high, but they're there because he's a duelist. He needs to be able to hit and take damage, but he actually has a lot of sustain in his kit that compensates him not having as many defensive tools as a tank does. So this stat is super important. Don't look past it. But in PvP, for characters like Simi, it's not as important. But for some reason, they give this character so much love. I look at her stats, and she got a lot of love, especially with the attack, HP, and defense. She got a lot of love. Um, I don't know. I guess they like her for some reason, but she got a lot of love. Anyway, her defense is really good, but in PvP, it's not that big of a deal because you're getting one shot at it anyway. She just needs to be able to kill at least one or two characters before she gets out of there, and she can do that extremely well. But with Rangers, you really can't prioritize it as much as attack and crit and HP. But if you can get some, you can get some. So let's talk about magic defense, and we'll go back to Catherine. Notice that Catherine's magic defense is extraordinarily high, and for her role that you want her to play, one of the roles that you want her to play, it kind of has to be because she has to duel other magic units. In order for her to duel other magic units, she has to have high magic defense. Magic defense is your resistance to magical attack. is just as important as defense, and the same mechanics apply. So this will be a little shorter, but wizards and priests tend to have the highest magic defenses in this game. As such, they're good at dueling to a certain extent, more so the wizard than the priest. Magical units, and that's the job you're asking someone with high magic defense to do. They can either duel or bait magic units out, like the floaty balls who deal magic or the little dragons or whatever. Uh, People with high magic defense, they're a perfect use for bait, so you don't wear down your tank. So strategically, when you play this game, you don't want to wear down your tank because you can have your tank some other units, and you can have a person with high magic defense, preferably your wizard, duel a. Well, most of them fly a random flying magic attack unit, and on the second turn, they usually can kill that unit. So consider that in strategic building and movement of your units. That units with high magic defense are really good for baiting, and they can bait and exchange really well with the magical units that you encounter in this game. So this is an important stat, and PvP is super important as well because a lot of wizards like Atum do a lot of AoE magic damage. Excuse me. And you want your people to survive. That's why you always want to have at least one character with high magic defense, aside from your priest, because magical AoE is going to be a big thing in the future of this game. So magic defense becomes more and more important as this game progresses into a PvP state. So keep that in mind. So let's talk about Gabriel. Gabriel is a massive improvement on tanks. Uh, she has the magic defense in order to go to toe with any wizard in the game. That's why she's one of the best tanks in the game because she can actually do that with a high magic defense pool. One of the highest magic defenses in the game. I'll make a stat list to see who really has the highest stats in every section. We'll do for SSRs, we'll do it for Rs, and we'll do it for SR units. But as it stands, she has like one of the highest magic defenses in the game, and that's amazing for a tank. But even her, you actually want to split the magical defense that she takes, as some units are able to negate her passive so she can't counterattack. So that's just something to keep in mind with magic defense, is that you don't want to burden any one unit to tank magical hits because the position gets wonky because a lot of magical units actually can fly or either move really far. And that's something you have to take into consideration. But magic defense is super important as it allows you to survive magical attacks. The last stat we'll talk about is concentration, which is basically a skill which equals crit. Uh, as you can see here, Simi has one of the highest levels of crit in the game. She boasts a 198, which is super great because the conversion of crit is like, if I'm looking at the math right, every 4 points of concentration, which is the stat we're looking at, guarantees you 1% of potential to crit. Like your crit rate is 1%, reach 4 points of concentration. So when you look at that, Simi actually has a high crit rate. And another person who has a high crit rate is what's her name? I forgot her name. Is what's her name? Erica von Bismarck. She has a high crit rate, and this is necessary for DPSs. And you notice that once again, Charlotte has an A in concentration. So every 4 points, you get a percentage of, you get 1% of crit chance. So when you're looking at that, I mean, that's amazing. For her to have two S stats, two A stats, that's amazing. That's really amazing. They gave they had like characters they really liked in their character design because that's freaking bananas. And for her to have that high of a crit rate, that's freaking bananas. That's absolutely insane. There's a lot of reasons why Charlotte's good besides her act again. I know people talk about her act again, and I agree. Your boy Avcoor agrees, but when you look at her stat allocation, oh wow! I mean, magic attack is a dump stat. I mean, if it was like F, it wouldn't really matter. She never uses magic attack, so nuts to that. The fact that she has high defense, high attack, high HP, and high crit, that means when she does her little act again trick, there's a chance, like, you divide 4 into 182. I am just doing math off the top of my head. That's she's got like a 24, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, 16. She's got like a 20% chance to crit. That's yeah, that's super good. I mean, wow, that's amazing. And that's what crit does. It allows you to crit. That crit actually multiplies your attack by. I'm not gonna lie and say I know the exact number. Um, on Landgresser it was actually 1.5. I don't know the number here, but it actually multiplies your overall damage by a lot. So when someone actually crits, they do a lot of damage, and you can actually crit on AOE. So there are some wizards that actually have high concentration, and that allows them to crit on AOE, which is really awesome. Like this is why Simi is so good. Simi is similar to Charlotte in the fact that she has 2A and 2S stats. And she has an A in HP and an A in defense, which is really good. And she actually has a B stat in magic defense, which is really good. Oh wow, her whew. Oh wow, this is a monster. Her stat allocation is absolutely bananas. Her and Charlotte are absolutely bananas. Oh my gosh, that is weird. That is so weird. So when you look at the stat allocation of heroes, you know if they're going to be good or not if the devs would let them have that much douchey stat allocation. Of course, they're going to get some good stuff. I mean, even even Gabriel, her stat allocation is perfect for the role that she's assigned. I mean, B is good, and B crit is okay. I mean, she's not going to crit much. I mean, who cares? I mean, who cares? 3 S's, that's amazing. That's good. I mean, Sighart, wow, Sighart, yeah, that's wow. Whew, that's insane. I mean, that's a dump stat. I mean, that's a dump stat. He's got, wow, that's really good. That's a dump stat. There's his stat allocation is near perfect. Wow, that's a dump stat. Magic attack is a dump stat. I mean, she's more balanced. This stat allocation is actually more balanced and somewhat satisfying. But when you look at her concentration, she has a lot of potential there. You can raise your concentration. So she has some good AoEs, but she's more of debuff. But she has potential to crit there. Like when you look at her stats, you know she's like a real DPS unit because she's got like S crit, S concentration, which is crit, and yeah, S attack, and that's what your crit does. You crit is works in conjunction with your attacking stats, as your defense stats work in conjunction with your HP stats. Your crit stat works in conjunction with your offensive stats, so it kind of rolls in on itself. Excuse me. When you're looking at your DPS, you want them to have solid concentration. Solid concentration helps you not miss your attacks, and it helps you crit. So you got to keep that in mind. That when you look at these DPSs, they better have some crit, so you can get. I mean, this dude has A-level crit, so you know he's serious about that DPS. And that's the thing about this game. As a player, you have to look at the stats before you look at all the rest of the stuff. Because even though they have good passes and stuff, it kind of falls flat if their stats aren't in the right place. So keep that in mind. Look at their stats. Understand how they work. If you like my content, the like, share, subscribe button. I'll get back to you. Laters.